Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy. Today, I'm talking to Sophie Kihm. She is the editor-in-chief and lead name consultant at Nameberry, the world's largest website devoted to names and identity. And today, we're going to be talking about the trends in baby names that Nameberry is seeing and predicting for 2026, and why naming your kid seems more complicated than ever. Welcome, Sophie.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, tell us, how does Nameberry sort of aggregate and measure trends in baby names?
This is what we prepare for all year long. Our Super Bowl basically is predicting the top baby name trends of the year ahead, which we typically do in the fall as it's, as we're going into the new year. And so we look at a bunch of different factors to determine these trends. The first is the national data that the Social Security Administration uses, but we only have data from the year before, right? So today in 2025, we have the 2024 data, but that's not really telling us, okay, how are things changing?
Just to pause, it seems like that's been saying Sophie and Emma for girls and Liam and Noah for boys for a couple of years now.
Yeah, at the very top of the charts, there's not a lot shifting. And so when we're thinking of trends, we're examining what are the names that are most likely to rise really fast and become a lot more popular. We can say with near certainty that Liam's probably going to be the number one boy name in 2025. Olivia's probably going to be the number one girl name. But that's a lot less interesting than saying, okay, these are the names that are getting popular under the surface, rising really quickly. And for that, we often go to our Nameberry statistics. I mean, we keep track of the names that people are looking at. And so we have that real-time data that we publish on the site.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this is what the parents to be, right? The people who are looking at baby names right now, who are maybe having babies in 2026, this is what they're interested in.
And tell us a little bit about Nameberry. I mean, I've used it in the past. I went back and looked at it more getting ready for this episode. The way that it's very rich, the data, and the way that everything interconnects. So explain that so people can understand how this data is being created.
Yeah, so we keep track of the names that people are searching for. So how many page views a name gets, but also the names that people are loving, right? You have the ability to create your own lists on Nameberry to heart names, save your favorites. And so all of this stuff is wonderful information because, some of the names that are on top of the charts that are being looked at have maybe a pop culture reference or an unusual name in the news. But then there are the names that people are like, ooh, I want this on my list. This is maybe going on the short list for my child. That's giving us really rich information about what parents are interested in this very second.
It's like the name that you didn't know you liked until you saw it. And then you're like, oh, I do like that one. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Melania is getting a lot of likes. I got it. Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying for these 2026 baby name trends, which we're going to walk through because they're very interesting, you're saying that these are Nameberry's predictions of what you think a year from now you will have seen rocket from number 800 to number 150 or something like that.
Absolutely. Yes. The names that parents are going to be using so much more frequently in the year to come.
Okay, so let's talk through the top 10 baby name trends that Nameberry is seeing for 2026. The first one, ancient civilizations. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is, I think, going to be a pretty widespread trend this year because it connects to so many different cultures, right? If we think about all the different ancient civilizations that are out there, people can find one that resonates with them. So we're seeing a lot of parents really reach back into far history for names that connect to their heritage, right? So we're seeing a real revival of names from Mesoamerican civilizations. So Nahuatl names, Aztec names, very popular among Latin Americans. We also have names from other ancient civilizations. So ancient Greek, ancient Rome, right? That parents are maybe using to connect their child back to this sense of history and something greater, right? The world feels pretty uncertain at the moment for a lot of people. And so parents are hoping, okay, if they give their child a really grand name, and I'm thinking names like Cassander or Ramses, Olympia, right? That maybe their child will help make this world a better place.
The wisdom that I heard growing up is you needed to give a baby a name that they could be president with. And
these are those names.
Yeah, these names, Cressida Wilson, would certainly fit into this category, that these are solid names. And to me, I was hearing these more, I was like, these are Game of Thrones names. But as you said, these are all sorts of civilizations, all sorts of different kinds of people. I knew a long time ago a baby whose name was Scipio. It sounds like a nickname, but It was spelled Scipio, and it was the name of a Roman general.
Yeah, now that you spell it.
Now that I spell it, but it was one of those names that one of those names that you had to explain. Like his mom would have to say, it's Scipio. That's Scipio. It's a Roman general. Like you needed full context every time you heard the baby's name. So
I think if parents, have a personal connection with their heritage, right? This includes ancient Asian names from ancient Indian cultures, Persian. It adds this layer of meaning for a lot of people that just makes the name.
It's such a different time too. Then my mother named me Amy, and it was because she used to name her dolls Amy, but also Amy when I was born, right? Like in the early 70s was the number one girl's name. And boy, do I know it. If I'm in a group of 10 women around about my age, there's at least 2 Amy's in the group. And my spouse is named David. And again, there were like 5 names for boys, right? David, Bobby, Billy, whatever, William. And now you can name your kid Johari or, Tinoch if you want to. And I feel like that might be why it does feel like a big decision. It is an important decision.
Yeah.
But like the fact that the world is so wide, I'm sure it can feel a little bit overwhelming for a parent today.
Well, right. And now there's so much choice because back when you were born, right, your parents had access to a dictionary style book of names. If they were even searching for something, maybe they heard Amy on the neighbor and were like, that's really cute. I might want to use that. Or, I used it for my dolls, right? But now the way we think about baby names has totally changed. And Nameberry is really the influence behind this. I mean, back in the late 80s, the founders of Nameberry, Pamela Redmond and Linda Rosencrantz, wrote the book that changed the way that baby names were thought of.
I remember this book. It was called Beyond Jennifer and Jason.
Right, which now these days, right, that title itself feels so dated. Nobody's naming their babies Jennifer or Jason anymore.
Right, wide open names, yep.
But it organized names by style, image, popularity, all the stuff that we take for granted today. And so now that parents have access to that, the pool of possible baby names has expanded. And there's also this allergy, it seems, to using a name that another child in the class might have.
Yes.
Maybe back in the day, having another girl or two named Amy, that wouldn't have bothered your parents, right? It was just that came with the territory. But these days, parents will go through great lengths to avoid that sort of thing. And as a result, the most popular names, the names at the top of the charts, have become significantly less popular than the top names of generations prior.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, I'm talking to Sophie Kihm. She is the editor-in-chief at Nameberry. We're going to be back with more baby name trends for 2026. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
Okay, I'm back with Sophie Kihm from Nameberry. Now we're going to talk about the next trend. We're going from ancient civilizations, from the sacred to the profane. What are the next big trend in baby names for 2026?
Oh, these are showgirl names, and they are influenced by everybody's favorite pop star, Taylor Swift, but not necessarily in the way that you would expect.
Not the name Taylor, in other words.
Not Taylor. In fact, Taylor is falling in popularity. That is a mom name today. Nobody's really wanting to call their babies Taylor. So she released this new album, Life of a Showgirl, and there are some track titles like Ophelia, which will definitely see rise in popularity. But really, we're looking at the showgirl element itself, right? Parents are going to be inspired by real life showgirl names, fictional showgirl names, and names that sound like they could be showgirl names. So what I mean is we're seeing more interest in names like Marilyn, possibly inspired by Marilyn Monroe, a very famous historical showgirl, Tallulah, Nomi, Farah, Vivian, right? Like these names that are connected to people, real and fictional, who have this kind of glamorous showgirl, slightly gritty though, energy. And we're also seeing these names that they're feminine, they're a little bit sparkly, but they're very, very strong. And I think that this is the ethos that Taylor Swift puts out into the world. And that really speaks to her album, The Life of a Showgirl. So parents want these names like Cecily, Kiara, Elodie, Salome, Serafina, right? They have that showgirl energy, but there's something else there that suggests this wealth of strength behind.
Yeah. It's more than just glamorous. You are the creator of your own narrative of your life. Roxy is also on this list, like Roxy Hart from Chicago. That's a great name for a kid who is doing it for herself.
I love it. It's great. I hope to meet more babies named Roxy.
All right. Now we'll move on to soulful names, which again, like it meant one thing and now it's kind of turning to something else. So tell us about this.
Definitely. So soulful names are all about subtlety. These are not your average biblical names, which we previously thought biblical names were evergreen, never going to go out of style. Actually, a lot of them are kind of dropping in popularity. These classics that we took for granted, like David and Joseph.
Sarah,
not as popular as they used to be, and previously they had been relatively stable. But parents who want a more spiritual or religious connection in a baby name are now going for these really understated options. And these are even names like Olive and River, which are so subtly spiritual that they're completely embraced by secular parents who may not even realize, oh, this could have a, more religious interpretation.
Right.
These include word names like shepherd, vision, Sunday, a lot of nature names, dove, cedar. These are all about symbols and allowing yourself as a parent and your child to interpret their relationship to spirituality however they want to or however you want to.
Got it. These are really pretty, some of these names. I got Rio, which means river. Hadn't really thought about that. Vision, Shiloh, Jubilee.
And that's the other thing, like a lot of these names are inherently gender neutral. So you could give them to a girl or a boy. They're very flexible. There's so much room for interpretation within all of these names.
And is that a trend that you're seeing at Nameberry, that people are choosing names that are more gender neutral, like River?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this trend is really growing in popularity as the name pool has grown because there are a lot more words being introduced into the lexicon as names. And these are inherently gender neutral. Same with a lot of last names as first names. So parents are really embracing these names for sons and daughters. We still see, certain names will become more popular for one sex over the other, but a huge difference today versus generations past is that parents are not abandoning boy names once they're adopted by girls. They are willing to accept, okay, my son named Charlie might have a girl or two in his class with his name, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's been the biggest shift that we've noticed.
That used to be very one way, like Leslie was at one time a boy's name, became a girl's name, never a boy's name again. Or even Kelly. Kelly was a male name that is now predominantly coded as a girl's name.
Right. And it still today is. Some of those names haven't really recovered from if they made the shift a long time ago, right? Before the current consciousness. But today, if there's a new name or if a boy name gets adopted for girls, parents are okay with that. And we're even seeing some people move this in the opposite direction and take names that are predominantly feminine and are using them for sons.
Love it. Okay, let's move on to the AOK boomer names. But before that, explain to us the 100-year rule.
Yeah, so the 100-year rule, this is another Nameberry coinage that now just seems to be everywhere in the baby name world. But names, their popularity cycles are about 100 years long. And this is going to sound very morbid, but basically the current population of people with a particular name has to die before we can consider the name as possibly being fresh for the current generation.
It's so out, it's in, right? It's so old, it's new.
Right. And so what we think of as quote unquote, old man, old lady names today that are really in style. So Eleanor, Theodore, Henry's more of a true classic.
I know a teenager named Anastasia, and that was my grandmother born in 1908. Her very dear friend was Anastasia, and I had not heard it again until my friend named her daughter that 100 years later. So I see what you're doing here.
Yeah, we just can't really know anyone who's living with the name anymore because then we associate it with that generation. I mean, no one really sets out to name their child and think, I want a name that is synonymous with the current generation of grandmothers or mothers. It just isn't in sync with the times. So it takes about 100 years for these names to come back. And a lot of them really do come back right on that cycle. I mean, another Taylor Swift connected one that we're seeing a lot lately is Marjorie. Her grandmother was named Marjorie. She has a song named Marjorie. And now Marjorie has rapidly risen through the ranks. And yes, that's due to Taylor Swift, but also because a lot of millennial women had grandmothers named Marjorie. And the name feels ready for a comeback.
Grandmothers and great grandmothers. And right, then when you have a baby, it's what a beautiful name, a name that nobody has.
Yes.
Right? It feels like an adorable and original choice. Then all of a sudden it's back. So these are names. This was fascinating because I think of names like Anastasia or Horace or Stanley in this. That would be my idea of what these old fashioned names were.
Yes.
Now these names, I'm seeing names on this list like Bonnie and Nancy, which is my mother's name. So she would be delighted to hear that her name is coming back. Richie and Ronald, the names of my parents, the boomers, are now becoming super hip baby names.
Well, yes. And so that's the thing with these AOK boomer names is that they're actually coming back ahead of schedule. These people are still with us, right? We all know someone named Diane or Ralph, maybe, Wayne, and they don't quite feel fresh enough yet, but that's what's making them really cool among a certain subset of parents. These back in the day would have been called hipster baby names back when hipsters were in the zeitgeist. And so they're not going to be, Dinah, Gloria. It's not the next Eleanor yet, but the really hip parents who are ahead of the curve, wanting something fresh, are going to do so much to revive these names. And already I've seen influencers have babies with names like Patty and Bruce and Joni. These names, they are here. So I know that people are going to be like, I don't think anyone would ever, name their baby Darla, but it is happening 100%.
You heard it here first. The boomer names are back. Okay, we're talking to Sophie Kihm from Nameberry. We'll be right back.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE. Okay, next on the list of most popular trends and baby names for 2026, Nameberry's calling it. I really wish my co-host Margaret was here for this one because next on the list is romantasy names. So tell us about those, Sophie.
Yes, I mean, we've all witnessed the rise of the romantasy genre. This is mostly with books, but also TV shows. I feel like this is Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon adjacent here. Names from romantasy novels are rising, but also names that just fit that formula. So romantasy authors, like romance authors and fantasy authors, follow a pretty strict formula, and they borrow a little bit from each of those parent genres, romance and fantasy. So romance novel characters tend to be very gendered, very fanciful, long, often Latinate. But instead of going for names with Latin roots, they're influenced by the origins of fantasy names, which tend to be either Welsh or Norse. So blending these, creating elaborate, fanciful names with these kind of Welsh and Norse elements, you're getting names like Evander and Sabine, Tamsin, Bronwyn, Cordelia, Elspeth, right? These like sound very magical. And as far as I know, not all of these names have been featured in romantasy series, but they definitely sound like they could be, right?
Right. Like I'm looking here at Elowen. That could be something that you've made up. Elspeth, that's a CBS show right now. So I'm sure that's made that name more popular. Orion. I love this. I definitely didn't name my kids in a time where you could just go with something cool, you know, at least in my culture, right? That you couldn't just come up with a cool sound. And other cultures, that's always been the case. And now that's sort of trickling into modern American society as well.
Absolutely. Parents feel a lot more free to experiment and come up with their own combinations, different spellings. There's a lot more acceptance. I mean, and some of the names on this list are technically invented names. Lilivere is one that I've heard here and there lately, and it sounds like it's a name with authentic Welsh roots, and it's actually not. It's influenced by the popularity of Lily names and names like Guinevere that have come into style lately.
Our next topic is vowel hiatus names. I'd never heard this term before, but I understood it once I read it. So tell us about vowel hiatus, what that means first.
Yeah, the vowel hiatus is a linguistics term, and it basically is when you enunciate two distinct adjoining vowels. So it's kind of the opposite of a diphthong where you would combine the two vowels to make a single sound. With the vowel hiatus, you are pronouncing each vowel sound in there.
So like Noah is an example because there's two vowel sounds next to each other and you pronounce both of them and there's no consonant. It's not Noba, it's Noah. Okay.
Exactly. And so what we've seen a lot recently in previous years was the rise of these liquid consonants. So like L and M, these enhance the glide of vowels, and it contributed to names like Bellamy and Milo and Milani really rising up the charts. But now parents are forgoing consonants altogether, almost, and using names that have maybe one or two consonants in them, but really are relying on the vowels for the meat of the sounds here. So these are names like Anaya, Gael, Lyall, Noah, specifically for girls, is becoming more popular. Ria, Solea, Tadeo. These names are very vowel heavy, and they exist in cultures all around the world. And so this is actually a global trend. I wouldn't even say this is an American trend. We are seeing this happen worldwide.
And you use here, there's a list of some celebrities that are doing this recently, and these are different cultures. So Milo Ventimiglia's daughter name is Keala. I think you would pronounce that, which looks like it's a Hawaiian name that has that glottal stop in it. And then there's a Japanese name, Kazuo, a Latin American name, Eloisa, that these are across cultures.
What I love about this trend is that this is a true cross-cultural trend that we're seeing, whereas some of these trends that Nameberry that we're highlighting are within a certain subset of the population that are maybe confined to a certain interest, right? People who don't read Romantasy are not really going to use Romantasy names, but these vowel hiatus names are being embraced across the board. So this is one of my favorites of our trend roundup this year.
Okay, this next one is really super trendy, but I must admit, very cool. Number names.
Yeah, number names. I mean, I was actually a little bit surprised by this one. But now that I've noticed it, I'm seeing it everywhere. So parents are using the names of actual numbers or names that suggest numbers in various ways. But one of the main reasons they are using these names is that it's a fresh way to suggest lineage. So overall, we're seeing fewer juniors, thirds, fourths, and so on in the population in the US. Certain cultures adhere to this more than others, but generally the numbers have gone down. Instead, they're much more open to the idea of giving their child a name like four. Maybe instead of naming their son James Anthony IV, they're just going to put 4 on the birth certificate. Or they're using these names to suggest the child's place within a family, right? You could use a name like Una or Primo for a firstborn child. Or if you're expecting your third baby, the 5th member of your family, and you have Latin American heritage, Cinco, I've seen even. They're having fun with this. It's a new type of honor name. And they are putting names like 5, 4, Quint, 7, Trace, Octavia on the birth certificate, even names that maybe don't have that family connection or as much of a personal connection. Number names are rising. So million and billion are on the charts.
Wow.
Which is a little bit surprising. And certainly the ones with pop culture connections, right? So 40, 11, 7 have been used in TV shows and things lately.
Oh, right. Stranger Things, the girl was named 11. Right.
Right. And so we're seeing boys and girls with the name 11.
And this is also a celebrity trend. Kourtney Kardashian's son is named Rocky 13 because he was the 13th grandchild.
Yeah. And 13 was his dad's favorite number. So we are seeing these a lot as middle names too, right? They make a very fun, unexpected middle when paired with a more conventional first name. But I think this one is just really unique and exciting. And it kind of reminds me of the soulful names in that some of these choices, like Ivy, for example, could be interpreted in many different ways. This is a nature name, but it also resembles the Roman numeral for 4.
Next up is Utah baby names, which you say were everybody outside of Utah was saying like, haha, look at these crazy names. And now they're starting to be imitated.
Exactly. This is one of my favorite ones to talk about because people are really shocked by this. Utah baby names have been the subject of ridicule for years in baby name communities. There are these what are called tragedy forums, tragedy spelled Tragedeish. That they're all about poking fun at these types of names. And so Utah names have this really intense reputation, but in the zeitgeist lately, we've been watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We are much more exposed to Utah moms and therefore Utah baby names. So now people are imitating these. And one thing I will say about Utah baby namers is that they are way ahead of the curve. Parents in Utah are pretty much the first to revive many vintage names. So these days, some of their favorites that are going to start to rise nationally are Dottie, Coco, Eldon, Fern. We're seeing a lot of that start to move out of Utah into the rest of the US. And they also are typically the first to adapt certain word names or place names. I'm thinking like Valley and Zealand. And they coin their own spellings and just create brand new names. And so some of the ones that are rising right now are Scotland and Swayze and Bodie, spelled with 2 E's at the end. So yeah, I mean, you can make fun of Utah baby names all you want, but they are coming for the rest of the population.
Next up is anime names. I mean, this is a trend that I'm missing, but it is out there, like K-pop demon hunters and movies and video games and everything. So these are fascinating names. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I mean, we have been watching anime names for years and years. This has been a micro trend kind of bubbling under the surface here. But 2026 is the first year where we're like, okay, this is going to be pretty widespread. And we do have K-pop demon hunters to thank for that. I mean, this is Netflix's breakout movie of the year, and it's really going to get people to embrace the name Rumi, which I thought back in the day when Beyonce used it for her daughter, that was going to shoot Rumi to the top of the charts, and it never did. This is going to be the catalyst, though. Rumi is a cross-cultural name. It feels appropriate for a child of many different backgrounds. And it's what we call a traveling light name, which was one of our trends in a recent year that works well in many different languages. It can be pronounced easily, no matter where your child travels in the world. Like these are values that a lot of parents are citing in choosing baby names these days. And so the anime names that are rising tend to follow that same type of formula here, where they're not names that are only legible in Japanese, for example. So names like Anya and Aura, Mira, Umi for girls, boy names like Koda, Renji, Rudo, Kiro, right? That they're names that could work for so many different children. And we're seeing more anime these days. It's becoming a lot more mainstream. It's available on more platforms. Parents are, reading manga. I've seen more out in the wild these days. So I think anime and the names that exist within those worlds, it's just going to continue to rise.
Okay, number 10 on the name trends for 2026, Brit-lit names. This seems to me like something that's been around for a while. I know a little girl named Bronte, and I'm trying to think of like what other names, like Jane Austen sorts of names. What part of this are you seeing as something that's going to expand and grow in 2026?
So in 2026, we're expecting the release of a lot of TV and film adaptations of British literature classics. So Wuthering Heights, we've probably all seen that trailer, Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice. And so that's going to create renewed interest in names from this world and also modern British literature. So what we're noticing are names that connect to British authors, both past and present, and their characters. So Bronte, as you mentioned, great name. I think we're going to see more of that in the coming years. And names like Eyre, inspired by Jane Eyre. Classics, certainly Celia, Eleanor, Virginia, as in Virginia Woolf, and these more modern names. So Kazuo, for example, Hale, maybe Heath, inspired by Heathcliff. So it's taking that British literature, these classic literary names, but also giving it a modern 2026 update.
What I loved about Nameberry is the idea that you can have a name you like I typed in my kid's name just to see where it would take me. And it sort of maps you out from there. You can see like if this name appeared on this list of names you might like. And I'm like, oh, I would like that one and that one too. And then you can also see forums. So that my understanding is that's other Nameberry users. And you can sort of say, how do these names, what do you guys think about this? You can beta test with a small group of people who love names.
Exactly. And that's an amazing thing. We have a very active forums community, and I see a lot of parents come to me saying, oh, you know what? I shared the names I was thinking of with my mother-in-law or with my best friend, and this person ruined the name for me because they didn't like it, and now I can't get it out of my head. And so instead of sharing it with the people in your life who are going to really sway you one way or the other, share it with people who you don't know. It's low stakes, but then you do get a read on the name because our Nameberry users are, I mean, I'm very biased. I think that they're the best, but they give very honest feedback. But everyone is just, it's so nice and friendly. And that's different than other baby name forums, which can sometimes skew kind of negative. So it's a wonderful place to get feedback on your names. And absolutely, if you're just searching for names, we have tools like Name DNA, which you take a quiz. It gives you names that should go on your list based on the quiz results. And then you can refine from there. And yeah, you search a name you like, find other lists it's on, maybe give you a sense of the kind of styles it fits into, read blogs it's been mentioned in, and go and test it on the forums or see what people have been saying about it if you don't want to put yourself out there like that.
I loved going through these trends, and we'll put the link in the show notes to the 2026 name trends from Nameberry because it was so much fun. I'm sorry I don't have any more babies to name. Maybe I need a puppy so I can go on Nameberry. But Sophie, tell our listeners all about Nameberry and how they can use it and where to find you.
Yeah, Nameberry is the ultimate resource for finding a baby name or even just engaging in all of your favorite name nerd activities, right? Making lists, finding new names, learning about names. Nameberry is absolutely the place to go. So you can see everything on our site at nameberry.com. And we are also on social media, Instagram and TikTok. So we're over there on Instagram at Nameberry and on TikTok at nameberry.com. So we hope that you'll go engage with us over there.
It is a super, super fun website to spend a lot of time coming up with the perfect name. Sophie, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Amy. This was great.